Peace, family. So this is a first for me. I'm going to do a guidance session on a live for you, and this will also be going on YouTube as well on at SMS with Candice. So you can go ahead and check out the channel there and check out how this happens. All right. So today's guest is at Rafy Blue, and that's RAFYBLU. I am so bad at spelling things out loud. That's why I try to stay in my lane. I can speak out loud sometimes and it sounds okay, but when I spell out loud, it never seems to work out for me quite as well. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me well. And the audio will be on the computer, so hopefully you can hear that. And if not, at least you'll be able to hear my side of the story. Okay, so joining. Starting. Hey.
Hey there, how are you?
Very well, how are you?
Good.
Can you hear me okay?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for
yes,
sure.
I can.
Okay, cool. So, good to virtually meet you.
Yes, likewise.
How's your day been?
Very long, but great. Just got home from a 2-hour workout. So.
All right.
Yeah, and I've been up since 4 a.m., but I'm doing great.
Yeah, I bet you're feeling great too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right on. So let's get started. Let me ask you, what exactly are you looking to get out of this meeting with me?
Sure. So I think that I just want to share my story, and see how, first of all, how we can complement each other with our audiences, and see how we can grow, right? And to the listeners out there, be it through Instagram or whatever platform people reach us at, I think can hear what we have to offer and become part of that movement.
Okay. So I was able to check out a little bit about what you do, and what I'd like to talk about is the one that you're doing with disabled people. That's what's really interesting to me. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And like I said, can you do it in under 3 sentences?
Absolutely.
Right on.
So Determinity, which is a hybrid word I created, that is from the words determination and inspirational society, is a social e-commerce platform for people with short and long-term disabilities to find new products, places, and experiences.
Okay.
And so what that encompasses is, for example, if you're a mother with a child with autism, for example, and you need to find resources specifically for your child, so that specialist that's going to help your child if your child is nonverbal. How do you find those specialists that will help your child to get to a place where they are verbal, they are participating, and they are growing, right? Where do you get those resources? Of course, you can always Google these resources, but it's not always so easy. You have to have certain technical knowledge and know-how in order to find the correct resources. And so what I'm doing with Determinity is curving that time that takes to find all of these resources.
Okay. And that was way past 3 sentences, right?
Yes.
So, from my point of view, what do you know about Start Marketing Smart?
I've heard here and there what you do, but I want to hear it in your own words.
Okay, so Start Marketing Smart is created for people exactly like you. People that are trying to really make a difference in the world, but they need to learn how to do their marketing better so that they can really reach that core audience that they're trying to talk to. And so that's where I'm at right now with my business, frankly. I'm trying to define my brand and who I need to talk to. And it's exactly people like you who want to make that difference, And I followed the link in your bio to see your link tree and everything that's going on there. But what really was important to me was to look at the one that's most interesting to me, and that is the one that you work with the people with disabilities. It's interesting to me. So I went to check out that one-page document that you have there.
Sure.
Yeah, and I thought, like how can I help with this? And that's what my point of view was, because I was on the call last night in DG's group, and I had a question too about how I could improve my social media to better reach out to, the people that I want to reach out to. And so, before that happened, I was listening to your portion of it and what, all was said with that. But I think after a while, I kind of zoned out. And it wasn't just because of what you were saying. It was other people and what they were saying. But I think the message got lost because, like I told you in the message, I worked with people with disabilities for like 5 years. And then I was raised with people that had disabilities, like right next to a group home. And, my mom, she had a very close friend. She was deaf, so my mom knew ASL and that kind of thing. And so these people with different abilities is some, people that I really hold near and dear to my heart as well. So I totally understand with having to help them find services, which is basically so with your company, is it like an app or?
Right, so it would be, when it's all said and done, it's going to be a desktop app, a PC app, so web-based, and also a mobile app.
Okay. So where are you at with it right now?
So what's interesting is that, so I've already built this. I built it out. I'm literally on like version 20 of it. It didn't work out. The time that I did build it, it didn't work out with my developers. They built a great looking product, but it was not functional the way we needed it to be functional. There were a lot of what we call in the tech world bugs. So like if you click there, you'd get a 404 error and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I made a rookie entrepreneurial mistake, which was I ran out of funding. I was trying to fund it myself, and it's a lot of technical know-how, and I'm a non-technical co-founder, so there was that. But what that I don't like to call it failure, but let's just, for contextual purposes, let's call it a failure. I call it growth. But what I learned from that experience is that this is the potential and the possibilities where I can take this. Because I did promote it, right? I promoted it to about 300 businesses. I made about 600 phone calls. 300 businesses were ready to go. They loved the idea of having this audience of people to cater to, right? These people that say, I'm looking for this service, please let me have this service, right? Right now, the new site is under construction. I'm currently looking for funding. So I'm raising capital right now, and I have quite a few people interested in that, and I have different stakeholders that are waiting until the app is complete to come onto the platform. So a couple of really big research teams here in New York City have expressed interest. So it's like, when, let's just say, a pharmaceutical company releases a new drug and they want to test that drug in certain individuals for the betterment of millions of people, they would need a pool of eligible candidates to make that happen. And so one of the things that would be provided on Entrepreneurity would be that service, right? Both from the research end and from the people end. So we're hitting different demographics and businesses throughout this project, which is awesome.
So, how are your prospects for the pre-investors, the people who are thinking about giving you money before they see the actual finished product?
Not good. I'll tell you why. I've noticed, right? So it's no mystery that disability isn't sexy, right? When you speak about an Uber in the business world, when you speak about companies like Instagram and Facebook, those are sexy businesses, right? Because people understand, right? You do X, you do X and Y to amount to Z, right? So,
Right.
Facebook gets a whole bunch of companies online, they charge them for advertising, that equates to a certain number. Um, it's interesting because the disability sector is one of those untapped demographics or businesses that don't really exist en masse. So investors don't understand and don't see the potential that is to be made financially with something like this.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm doing it, right?
I don't mean to. My bad. No, I wasn't. I was just thinking. My bad. I didn't mean to hush you or anything like that.
No.
But it makes me think. It makes me think because you actually said part of what I can help with, and because I believe right now what you need is that those pre-investors to come forward and believe in your idea and this, this vision enough to be able to give you that money so that you can hire those developers to get it done, right? So that you can then present it to the other businesses so that you can then get that more money to then bring it to where it needs to be out of its beta, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's where I want to come in, and that's where I want to be able to help you get across your message to right now the pre-investors, because you're not really talking to the people who the app is for or the program is for. You're not talking to them right now. You want to talk to the investors. But how can you get them to emotionally be invested enough to be like, yes, man, let's go ahead, because I have someone in my family and I have friends that have disabilities and they have been saying stuff like this to me for a long time. So, this is what I think you need to work on, is really definitely working on that pitch. Do you have because I know something that we've been working on in DG's group is that 1 minute pitch. Do you have one yet?
Yes, I have that.
Okay. So how's it landing with people? How do you feel like it's going?
Oh no, so people understand it straight off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've worked, the whole time that I was, the first time around that I was building the site and I was actively looking for investors, I used to fumble a lot, and the point didn't get across.
Yeah.
So what I've become very good at is succinctly saying what Determined ID is and the services I'm offering. And people, when I finish my pitch, they're ecstatic, right? Because they're like, wow,
right.
I could have used that when, I had this accident, or I could have used that when my father was alive,
right?
Or I could have used that when my child was going through X or Y, right? So it's valid. It's all valid. So people see it.
So how do we present that though for the investors?
I think the different approach that I'm taking now is looking for investors that have been there. So there's a guy that I heard about, for example, there's this podcast I listen to called Bigger Pockets, the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Podcast. They talk about real estate, and there was this one gentleman on there I must have missed the episode, but there's this one gentleman on there who made a lot of money in real estate, but he tells a story. I heard the podcast briefly, but many people you should reach out to that guy, right? So then this was a gentleman who suffered his entire life with a lifelong disability, and just so happened to make a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for people who have the specific vision and passion now that are directly aligned to what I want to do, which is to help people with disability en masse. So seeking people, what I'm doing different is seeking people like that out, right? That have the capital to invest, that know the value of something like this. And so I'm looking and creating lists of people like this. So going to foundations, for example, and seeking those people out.
So what I want to help with is how I think I really believe it's how you're conveying that message, that they're not picking up on it. Because if everybody's like, yeah, but they're not, you don't have that money, then something's not connecting.
I agree.
So like how I'm sure you've put a lot of time into it. Like, have you put a lot of time into that pitch and trying it?
Absolutely. I've gone to conferences. I've done all of it. And again, I think the worry is, right, so a lot of the feedback that I get is it's not even about execution. It's about getting the money back, right, for investors.
Yeah.
So how am I going to multiply my return?
Mm-hmm.
And so because those investors, right, and I'm talking about institutional investors, because they don't see the globalization aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I speak about determinati, I speak in global terms, right? So if you're someone in Africa, in Europe, not just in the United States, but anywhere in the world, if you're looking for resources, how do you find it, right? And what investors can't get over is, is a vendor that sells highly specialized software that helps people who are nonverbal, that sell software, for example, are people in Europe willing to pay a premium for a product, that's on determinati, and give determinati a cut for selling that product?
Absolutely.
Their hump is getting over that hurdle. That it'll be monetized globally.
It's not their hump, it's your hump.
What do you mean?
That's what you need to take care of. When you pitch to somebody, essentially you're marketing to them. You need to be touching an emotional nerve within them, for one, because that's how you get their attention. And then you get their interest by then telling them how it's going to be monetized is this way. And when you have that laid out to them in a way that makes sense, then they will go forward from there, right?
Right.
So that's what I think really needs to be the impression. I think you really should be going with emotion here, because autism and all types of conditions these days, especially with COVID, some people are saying that, there's these long-term effects from it after recovery, and with many things, arthritis, all of these things that, add up to disabilities in differently abled people will definitely be interested in this. And so therefore, why wouldn't companies be flocking to use your software? So why wouldn't they support it? So part of your job as the person who owns this business is to then take all those doubts that they come up with, and you have to then address those doubts. This isn't a problem because here's how this is going to go. This isn't a problem because I know you're thinking on a global level, but I think you need to bring it local first. So maybe scale it down, bring it back. And we need to start from the beginning, get that pitch to where it's touching that emotional nerve. Then you get the interest by backing up your numbers and your theory by producing something locally that is helping the people on a smaller scale than what you want to do on the bigger scale. And then you'll have that proof to go forward to get those pre-investors to give you that money. You know what I mean?
Understood.
So
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, I think we need to back it up a lot. So I think it's really important that you really define and really define your message, and you really need to define those emotional nerves that you want to touch with the investors, because that's who we're talking to right now. And since you know, like the one particular investor that you mentioned, if you know that it touched him personally in his life, then you need to craft your pitch to him personally. You need to personalize it. And then you need to go ahead and send that out and try to contact him and then see how that goes from there. Don't make the same pitch to every person, because every person is different. And the more personal information you know about them, you should use it, because it really counts. As you're an entrepreneur at this point, the more information you know and the better you use it, the better it'll come across in order to, touch those emotions. Because people, people will invest what they feel strongly about. And right now, you're just not touching those nerves to make them feel strongly enough about it. Because, like I said, last night I was listening, but I kind of wasn't listening. And my attention, I have a really great attention span. And I have a huge interest in helping people with disabilities, just helping people in general. Because that's what I believe we're here for. As human beings, we need to support and help one another, right? And so, when those of us, who know better do better, we're not using the word handicapped, and you know what I mean, and we're not using the word retard and things like that. We're trying to progress humanity. We're not keeping people who have disabilities in asylums anymore. I used to take people who were nonverbal, could not feed themselves, could barely move, out into the community to integrate with society, because society is not used to seeing these people. And they're people, you know what I mean? They're not handicaps, they're not retards, they're not these things that they've been in the past. They're not somebody to be in the shadows anymore. So it is important what you're doing, and I'm passionate about that. And I've heard you speak so many times before, but man, I tell you, I don't want to zone out anymore. I want to be like, man, I'm going to help this dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want everybody that you talk to, that you come across, to be like, not only is that a great idea, I'm going to, what's the link to give you some money? Like, I don't even care how I can be a part of it. You shouldn't be struggling this hard to get this shit done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because it's a beautiful thing. And this touches everybody these days, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People have strokes, they're disabled, they can't use one part of their body, their speech is slurred, or whatever it may be. There's so many different ways that people, become, differently abled. And I think that, it's an important thing that, you step it back some. And it's cool to be on that global level, but you have to be on your local one first, and you have to touch those nerves first. So.
Agreed. Actually, the reason why my workout takes so long is because I have so many injuries. As you know, and I'll share with the public just real quick, I was born with cerebral palsy, and I have my cerebral palsy it's called hemiplegia. It's one-sided, so one side of my body is weaker than the other, and I have, I was in a car accident like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, snap.
3 weeks ago, yeah. And so I have a bad knee. Even working out takes me a little longer because I have to take care of certain body parts.
For real.
I can't do the things the same way. So, absolutely, and I think that's as local as it gets, right? It starts with myself.
For sure.
And I think it starts with my community. So I agree with you 100%. I think that if I can do something here in New York City I think the data set would be ample enough to say, hey, this is what I've done, and this is what I have to show for it.
Yeah.
Now it's just drilling down on what I can do to expedite sort of the process.
So New York City, I haven't been there, but I heard it's a big little city. So maybe you need to scale it down to your neighborhood. Is there like a center in your neighborhood that deals with, people with disabilities? And maybe you can do some outreach to them and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. How can we better assist? Like, do you have a list of the resources in your neighborhood that people with disabilities would be able to access at this point, say in a Google Doc?
Well, what's interesting is that I'm that guy, right? When people need things in my community, and not necessarily in my local community, just in New York City in general, I get a lot of phone calls. So I do determine IDs work offline.
Okay.
The reason I want to bring it online is because I know how powerful it's been with just me doing it. And I'm sure other people in some facet are also doing it, because that's why we have these organizations, right? And that's the whole point of Determinati, is to put these resources online to better allocate these resources so people can find it. So I think that, I don't have that Google Doc, but that's something that I can come up with.
For sure. So we only got 5 more minutes left. Was there anything that you want? I know, right? We're having lots of fun. So was there anything that you wanted to ask me specifically that we didn't cover?
Well, we covered a lot. I definitely have follow-up questions like, what are you suggesting locally, for example, what I can do, because I'm worried about, another thing that comes to mind when I speak to, in not so many words, and you've touched upon this many times in our conversation, which is before I do it on a global level, I have to do it on a local level. What investors say is, you can't be everything for everybody.
You can't.
I disagree.
You can't.
Well, I disagree partially, and I'll tell you why. Because, disability, I hate the word, but we'll use that word as the colloquial term. Disability is overlapping, right? So, people like myself that have cerebral palsy, the prognosis is so vast that you have people that, it ranges from mental health disability to completely handicapped in a wheelchair, nonverbal, and everything in between. Right. So I think that because it overlaps so much with every disability, right, I think that I can be everything for everyone if the resources are correctly allocated. So I think my next step is, how do I create that localized data set where I can say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Investor, I have this data set. This is what I want to do. Please give me some money. I think that's now where I'm stuck.
Okay.
If I were to proceed that way.
Let's make it simpler than that.
Okay.
Because that's what Start Marketing Smart is all about. Not to throw a commercial in there, but...
Shameless plug?
No, but I like to simplify things, I think sometimes I can be one of those people that can go on and on and on telling a story, but sometimes we need not to do that, because we can really lose people's interest really quickly, and especially these days when people have, patience of like, I don't know, a fucking goldfish memory. So we have to remember, we have to make that impact like right now. So I would say on a local level, what you can do would be to start a Facebook group. What part of New York are you in?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. I'm sure there's plenty of people in that neighborhood that you will be able to start a Facebook group just for, on a very small scale of what you're talking about your software is going to do. since you're that light right now, you need to provide that in at least a Facebook group, because that's free for you. It's free for them. You can provide the resources there, because then you could put your documents within that group. You're a part of DG's. Are you of that post-Trump society?
No, I'm secret
okay.
society.
Oh, okay. Well, he had, a Facebook group for the post-Trump. And so people are still in there now, and they can share resources, Excuse me. They can go back and they can find the resources that were shared within that group. And so then that's a way for you to be able to let people in on what you're doing, to build that excitement for it. Once you build that excitement, then naturally people will want to support you. And at least on a smaller level scale, that you could start like a GoFundMe for people to donate $10, $15, because whatever kind of monetary funds you get, I'm sure you will put to good use. Do you have a logo yet?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen it. Maybe that should be on your Instagram.
Yes, it is on the Determinati Instagram page.
I don't think I've seen that. Is that connected to your Raffy Blue?
It's in the link. Well, the one pager is in the link.
Well, see, that's a problem right there, because if I go to your personal Instagram and I can't go and automatically see your business and what it's doing, I have to try to figure it out by going to a link and then going to another link that connects me to another link. You're not quite doing enough to get that, that connection, and then that connection, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm down to do this though and help you out with it. I mean,
I appreciate that.
For sure, because I feel really strongly about it. Right now, how do you feel about that Facebook group?
No, I love it. It's actually something I think I have such great ideas that sometimes it works against myself. So the Facebook group is something I should have started, from the get-go when I first started this. So
do you have an email list?
Not even, unfortunately.
You should start
I have
one.
all the contacts. Yeah, I have all the contacts that I've reached out to, previously.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be too difficult to compile.
So.
But I think.
Yeah.
Those are two good places to start.
Okay, right on. So if we were to meet again next week like this, would you be able to come back to me with some hardcore things that you've gotten accomplished in a week?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so then we'd be able to move forward with some other kinds of plans to be able to scale this back some.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm down to do it if you're down to do it. Can we do this at the same time every week, or? We'll work it out.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
All right. Yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, cool. So, all right. Anything else?
No. This is a whole bunch of fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm glad you reached out, because a lot of people reach out to me, but, they don't follow through. And so, I'm just trying to build my business, and I'm trying to build the connections, and I want people to see that, I'm really honest about what I'm trying to do. I spent a lot of years trying to do it ass backwards, and, that's why nobody's seen me until now, but they're going to start seeing me a lot. So, like I said, I'm here to help, folks like me and you. I want to help more entrepreneurs be able to actually talk about their message and be able to get it out there. So, yeah, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds great.
All right.
I'm excited.
Right on, man.
We're breathing new life into this and seeing the vision.
No problem, man. You're very welcome. Like I said, my dog's going crazy. Thank you for taking the time, and have a good evening. Maybe see you in a group later, or.
Yes.
All right.
I'll chime in few minutes later on.
Right. And, if you want to talk up Start Marketing Smart or what we talked about today, that would be tight. I still have to give my revised pitch, because I'm trying to touch some nerves. But I also have to let people know what Start Marketing Smart does. And I have to call. Jeez, bro. I also have to throw in a call to action so that people know where to go and where to get more information about me, right? So hopefully you're like it. Chime in if you're on there and you hear me do it. Please give me feedback on, how you feel about it.
Absolutely. I got you.
Right on, man. All right. Well, we'll talk soon. You take care. Have a good night.
Great. You too.
All right. Bye. All right. So I'm done with that. That went well, I think. And so despite my animal going crazy at the end there, things went well. I hope he can bring some of that action and energy and whatever he gets accomplished in the next week or whenever we talk next done. And hope you liked it. Take care of yourselves out there until the next one. Peace. StartMarketingSmart.com and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at SMS with Candice. That is where you can catch me. I hope you like this. Catch the replay, and you can also catch it over on YouTube. Peace.